Welcome back, everybody, to your three-man booth, NFL Week 12, Thanksgiving. I'm Dan Salem with Phil and Bud, and we got your ATS picks. I had my first 0-2 week of the season. Guys, you saved us because you each got a win. I'm going to leave it there. You can brag all you want. I'm not going to eat crow unless you force me to. But Phil, get us started with our Week 12 picks.
Yeah, I'm not going to crow over going 1-1. That seems to be my usual weekly picks. But I mean, you want to talk about a lock of the week, and this isn't even a homer pick. This is a thinking with my head rather than my heart. The Giants are absolutely going to beat the crap out of Cincinnati this week. They have no defense. They have no offensive line. They have no Joe Mixon. They have no anything. Joe Burrow is going to be on the shelf for 9 to 12 months. What was his name? Ryan something. Ryan. Anyway, I forget his name. We can't even name the quarterback right now.
Call him Sack.
Yes, Sack. The Giants are just going to they're going to annihilate 5.5. I mean, that's a gift. That's literally a gift. So give me the Giants, and I won't even think twice about that one. And then I want to take a Thanksgiving game. Now, it's the same teams every year. The Lions are always there. Dallas and Washington are always playing. I feel like the Steelers are now a Thanksgiving tradition for some weird reason. But
Sunday night, yep. Or
Sunday night. But I will take the Steelers at 10-0. I'm going to ride that wave. They're only given 5.5. Ravens are just – half the Ravens team is on the COVID list right now. And that defense, something's going on with that defense because they're bleeding points. And Pittsburgh wants to do nothing but throw the ball with Deontay Johnson, Juju, and Claypool. So give me 5.5 in the Steelers.
Yeah, if I had a good fantasy team, I'd be bragging about both of those Steelers receivers putting up numbers on my team, but I don't have
that's why I got Deontay Johnson's helping me right now, I'll tell you that.
Yep. All right, Bud, who you got for Week 12?
I'm picking Cleveland. I'm going to keep riding the Cleveland train. Cleveland's playing Jacksonville, 5.5-point favorites. I'll lay those points. Jacksonville looks terrible. And Cleveland's just going to dominate time of possession. So I'll take that. And then I'm going to take the Jets.
Yeah.
Tua has not looked good the last 2 weeks. Phil and I just got done doing the podcast, and I said that if I was a betting man, this would be the only week that I would think that the Jets could win. Just because obviously they're awful, but the way the Tua has played the last 2 weeks, I'm not sold on Tua right now. I still think Miami wins because Miami's defense is exceptional. But I do think that the Jets keep it within the 7 points. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, maybe somewhere in the area of 17-13, something like that. Yeah,
I almost wanted to pick for the Jets, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. I am going to pick the Giants. Phil, this is I think the first time we're both picking the same team, but I have to. They're the best team against the spread, 7-3 this season, and they are giving up less than a touchdown against a hobbled, terrible Cincinnati Bengals team that'll probably tank the rest of the way because what else they got to play for? I like the Giants. I want to talk about them more in a little bit because they are exciting. They're probably one of the more exciting losing teams the rest of the way out. And I'm also going to back the Seahawks. They're on the road as well, giving up 5. I mean, Seattle has shown weakness on defense, but they can score a lot of points. And they're playing the Eagles, who kind of stink.
Kind of.
Like they should probably get blown out, shut out. They'll probably get 14 because Seattle can't stop everybody, but they're going to score way more than a touchdown for victory. Yeah, I like the Seahawks Monday night on the road.
Yeah, I will be thoroughly rooting for that pick because I want to see the Eagles lose. And unfortunately, Dallas is playing Washington on Thursday, so one of them has to win. I guess they could tie, but for the most part, one of them is going to win. So we're not going to have the outright lead in the NFC East, but we're going to be tied for first after Sunday. That I mean, I'll guarantee it. We will be tied for first place after Sunday with 4 wins.
I kind of agree. I mean, the Eagles have the tiebreaker right now because of that tie, literally. But they're probably the weakest link right now of the 4. Just the way things have played together. I mean, I don't know what Dallas did last weekend, but if they build off of it,
they played Minnesota. That's what happened.
Yeah, but they got the Redskins now, or not the former Redskins, the Washington. So that's a kind of a similar type game for them. And
the Washington defense is way better than the Minnesota defense. Way better.
Fair enough.
I mean, Jesus, they just took out Joe Burrow's knee. So, I mean, watch out Andy Dalton.
And I like Alex Smith better than whatever's left of Kirk Cousins. So I guess I'd favor Washington, but I don't know.
It's funny that you prefer Alex Smith over Kirk Cousins. I mean, considering Alex Smith hasn't played in 2.5 years and basically is lucky to even be playing football anymore. But I said to Phil, if you were to poll the quarterbacks in the NFC East, I think I would take Alex Smith over all of them just because he doesn't turn the football over. He's consistent and he's a proven winner.
I would take Daniel Jones only because he's younger and has put 3 games of mistake-free football together. He has a smaller sample size, but he can run and he's younger. I think I'd take some of those turnover lumps for the long term. Maybe a one-off, and I'd go Alex Smith. But if it was going to pick to lead my team, I don't think I could take him just yet.
So here's a question. So is Alex Smith going to be the quarterback of the Washingtons next year?
He should have been for the start this season, so I think so.
Well, you're probably right about that. But, I mean, Kyle Allen is going to be gone. I don't know if he's –
the Washington Federals? Have they picked a name? I think they're going to go something, right? Bureaucratic.
Actually, I thought I read that they might keep the Washington football team until at least through next year.
Why?
I don't know. Because they have more important things to worry about than what their team name is right now. They got a lot of holes they need to fill rather than what their team logo is.
Yeah, but I think the last 3 off seasons, 3 or 4 teams have rebranded their entire logo, uniform, everything. LA did it. New York did it. I mean, who else? Tampa Bay. Several of these teams. A lot of these teams have rebranded. It's time for Washington to do it.
The Washingtons, yeah.
Anyways, so who do you think the Giants will be tied with? Do you think it'll be Washington?
I kind of hope I do hope it's Washington because we've beaten them twice. So if you want to go by head-to-head matchup, then that would be listen, I just want to see Dallas lose every week. So I will always pick against Dallas. That's an unfair question to ask me.
And one of these teams can potentially finish with a winning record. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's possible.
It's possible. I mean, we're only in week 12, so they still got 5 games left, right?
Yeah, they just all have to play that gauntlet of Green Bay, and I think they get Seattle, and they all got to face these guys. They all haven't yet.
So the Giants have obviously Cincinnati this week, and if my phone would load a little faster, I can get you
left, I think.
Right, they got Arizona, which their defense isn't great. I mean, they're giving up points left and right. So you got Seattle, Arizona, Cleveland. Wait, am I seeing this right?
No, you are. These games sound more and more winnable every week because these other teams aren't playing.
Wow, they played Baltimore. I didn't know they played Baltimore. Okay, all right. So Cincinnati, Seattle, Arizona, Cleveland, Baltimore, Dallas.
I think we sat here 2 weeks ago and thought that maybe the Giants could get 2 wins out of that. They could really surprise us the way these other teams' defenses are perforing.
Yeah, I said to Bud before 3 weeks ago. I was saying don't win another game, and now I've completely flip flopped on that. Now I want to see them win every game now.
Reverse
yeah, as bad as it is to win the NFC East, someone has to win it, and why the hell not? Why not? Let's go.
Yeah, we always said the worst thing was to finish 7-9, 8-8, but not if you win the division.
No. The good thing is, you said about Daniel Jones playing mistake-free football, right? That's 3 games of mistake-free football. You're doing all this and you're getting better each week without Saquon Barkley, right? So the line's getting more consistent. The receivers are getting more consistent. Daniel Jones is getting more experience. Now you're going to add Saquon Barkley into this next year, which is already going to be a run-first offense, which is tailor-made for him. So it's not like you picked him up in free agency and now you have to rearrange everything for a guy that runs the ball that much. This is the offense that was tailor-made for him. You're just going to insert him back in, and hopefully everything's a step better next year.
Well, and I got to say probably the biggest bright spot is their defense, which has really come together this year, and it's not quite as a mess as everyone thought. And they can add to it and build with it, but if they can keep this core together, it's got
Everyone's talking about the signing of Bradbury, but Blake Martinez as a linebacker has been crushing it for that defense. I mean, he's like the stir that he's the straw that stirs the drink. He's a huge surprise, and it's nice to see.
Yeah, I've enjoyed watching the Giants play. I'll just leave it at that.
You and me both.
Yeah.
Although I shouldn't be happy about a 3-win team, but this is the year we're in. What are you gonna do?
Well, they are 7-3 against the spread, so they've lost a lot of close games. We argued whether they was going to balance out within the season or after or next season, and at the time it looked like next season. But right now, I'm not so sure. So we'll see what happens. They gotta smack around the Bengals, and then we can talk.
Go to your local bookie or whoever is out there. Put your house on the Giants.
I know that Joe Burrow's looked great, right? Put your house on the Giants. I always make a disclaimer in my posts before teams to wager on, but please don't bet your house.
No, bet someone else's house.
Yeah. Burrow's going to miss a lot of time. And he was the future in Cincinnati. But are they going to look quarterback in this draft in case he doesn't recover from that?
I don't think you'll know by then, though.
Yeah, but they're going to have a top 5 pick. I mean, you're not going to want to take a top 5 pick on a quarterback. I would think that he's going to come back. He might miss all of next year, but he's going to come back.
But do you trade Burrow to move up to the number 1 and take Trevor Lawrence? I mean, Burrow's on a rookie deal, but he's got it off the injury. It's an interesting.
Shit, are you serious? I'll take Joe Burrow.
Injured Joe Burrow, you're going to take another loss. But see, you're basically punting next season with the rookie on the bench like that, right?
It's the Jets. You punt every year. Who cares, dude?
I love that you said that. No,
you make it sound like next year could be optimistic. Like, no, they're going to be bad next year too. So, give me Joe Burrow, and I'll give you the first-round pick. Throw another pick in there, and have a ball. Great. Good luck to you.
So Joe Burrow and say the 4th pick for the number 1 pick. I would do it too. It's super because he proved.
We'll see in 2022.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, they got Darnold still.
Sure.
So.
They can have Darnold at that point.
Yeah, and who knows what they get with number 4, and then they got Seattle's number 1 and some other.
But you still got one more year on Darnold's. You could pick up the option for Darnold. You pick him up for 1 year. He's basically a lame duck quarterback, or you just get rid of him and you tank again next year.
Yeah, and keep rebuilding. Yeah.
I mean that's actually a great idea, Dan.
Well, someone's going to
take Joe Burrow. He's a franchise quarterback.
He is. He's just coming off ACL surgery, but most people recover well from that. I know it's tempting because.
But no, he's not coming off of just ACL. He's coming off of ACL, MCL, and then whatever else is in his knee. I mean, they just said other structural damage. I mean, that could be meniscus. That could mean his patella is all messed up. I mean, it could be 1,000 things.
Huh. Well, do we have a point of comparison for the injury?
Well, they were saying Carson Wentz.
Okay. Well, Wentz came back well. I mean,
right.
He doesn't have. He looks
well, sort of. I mean, so we were saying before he got hurt, he was on an MVP, track.
Yeah.
Since he's come back, I mean, hasn't been good, right?
Well,
he has no weapons.
Yeah. The team fell apart around him. I can't say anything better. He has no weapons. He throws.
Bill seems to think that Alshon Jeffrey is all of a sudden not a good wide receiver because he didn't get any targets last.
Well, I don't think Wentz has time to throw the ball or scramble. I mean, he has ran for several touchdowns this year because I unfortunately have him on fantasy and have to start him. But yeah, I know it's been that time of year. But I mean, he willed them those 3.5 wins. So I put that on him gritting it out. He'd be a great quarterback for a lot of other better football teams. So I could see him being a huge trade chip for an Eagles team that probably will be rebuilding next season. We'll see.
I'd take Carson Wentz.
I was just going to say, would you take Carson Wentz? Is there any quarterback currently you wouldn't take on another team?
Joe Flacco.
Well, that doesn't count. He's already on your team.
I wouldn't take Gardner Minshew. I wouldn't take Mitch Trubisky.
Well, Gardner Minshew's done in Jacksonville anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
What's up with
I wouldn't
Tua?
take those guys.
Would you take Tua? Why'd they bench him? I didn't see what happened last week, but I know he
Here's my theory on Tua, and I want your guys. And we briefly talked about Tua in the podcast, but I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on it. If you were the Dolphins, looking back on the draft, would you take Justin Herbert instead of Tua?
in a heartbeat. That dude's they got weapons in Miami. In a heartbeat, I'd take him. He's playing real well.
I mean, if you're that quick on saying it, then in my eyes, there's something up with Tua.
Well, so Tua had the injury that he supposedly overcame. He didn't start the year for Miami. Now, and I've watched a lot of Herbert, so I'm obviously a little biased. I've watched him, and he just looks well beyond his years. Yeah. But I'm nervous on Tua because they pulled him out. Like, why name him starter? Why name him the starter of a winning team, and then not let him ride the?
Well, I think he only had like 93 yards passing or something through 3 quarters, so it wasn't.
He's a rookie. He got to go through these stumbles, and you got to overcome the obstacle, the difficulty.
Because at that point they're one game out of the AFC East division lead.
Yeah, but did Patrick win in the football game? No.
Well, no, it didn't work out that way. But I mean, it's not like they're just tanking. Like, all right, you got the rest of the way. Like, I think they feel like they still have a legitimate shot at winning that division.
He is not the reason why they've won these other football games. The defense has played unbelievably well. This team would have been more productive offensively if Fitzpatrick had stayed the quarterback, in my opinion.
Well, I don't disagree with you.
Their defense was good all year. That put aside, the only reason why they're winning these games now is because the defense they feel like they have to play better because Tua is not putting up the offensive numbers. You look at Joe Burrow before he got hurt. You look at Justin Herbert. You look at other young quarterbacks in the league, Murray. They're throwing for 400 yards a game. Like,
yeah, Daniel Jones
is not going to sustain if he's going to throw for 140 yards a game. I'm sorry, he's just not going to do it. And he's only cracked 200 yards once in 4 games that he's played. Like, that's, to me, that's a game manager. That's not let's go out there and sling the ball. That's let me hand the ball off. Let's not make turnovers and let the defense win the football game.
Does he have the attempts and just the low completion percentage, or are they not throwing the ball?
He's averaging around 50. We looked at the numbers. He's about 50% completions. Like,
okay, so
you don't pick somebody that high in the draft and just say, you know what, you're going to be a game manager. Like, I'm sorry, like other guys are pucking the ball. Herbert threw the ball 50 something times the other day and looked every bit of a top 10 draft pick.
I got your attempts here. That's about all right. So it's 20, 25, 28, 22. So about 25 a game.
Okay, you want to?
It's not good. It's not enough.
No,
it's not enough.
But you're only completing 11, 15, 20, 12. So
you're less than 50%.
Well, here's my thoughts, because I like the coach in Miami. I think he's doing a good job. But I don't know the structure between coach and GM. It seems like, because we couldn't figure out why he would have switched to Tua with a winning team led by Fitzpatrick, who we know may have a clunker here or there, but is overall very good quarterback. Maybe he didn't want Tua, the coach, but he was given him, needed to play him, and said, "Let's play him now before." And if he does what he just did, then he can bench him. I mean, you think he gets benched in the Jets game if he's putting up a clunker?
But we talked about this 4 weeks ago. Once you make the move, you can't go back to Fitz. Like, you just can't. Like, you've made the commitment. You drafted him 3 overall, whatever the number was that you drafted him. That's the guy you got to ride with, if win or lose. And you were a winning football team, and you're still a winning football team, and you're only a game and a half out of first place. But put that aside, you're not playing currently these last 2 weeks like a team that is in competition to win the AFC East. You're just not.
Let me pose you this. The Dolphins are down 17-7 to the Jets at halftime. Fitzpatrick comes in, wins them the game. The team's his for the rest of the season, absolutely, right? Or no?
I mean, you'd have to think that, Dan. I don't. I mean,
I know.
if you bench a quarterback in the fourth quarter and his last 2 games have not been productive and he has not been able to move the ball offensively at all, and then he comes out and you're losing to the Jets the first half and you make that switch and Fitz comes out and he plays lights out and he would. I'm sorry, you got to go back to Fitz. I mean,
yeah.
If your goal is to win the AFC East, you can win the AFC East. You have a good enough defense to do it. It's a winnable division. The Bills are a good football team. But even if you don't win the AFC East, you can make the playoffs.
Yeah,
the AFC East can be had this year.
They're only one game behind right now.
The AFC can be won.
Yeah, well, they absolutely should make the playoffs. And we both know Fitz would shred this Jets defense. I don't know about Tua. It's a open question.
He doesn't scare me passing the ball, and their running game is just it's okay. It's not great.
No,
like so I fear as a Jets fan that Tua is going to come out and he's going to lay an egg and the Jets are going to win. I don't want the Jets to win. I want the Jets to lose.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think that they would let themselves lose to the Jets. They'd probably bring Fitz in for the miracle win, but.
You don't want to be that one team that loses to an 0-10 team that is bound for. I said to Phil, this team is going to either end up 0-16 or 1-15. Who's going to be the one? It could be the Dolphins.
This was the other win I had picked out at the beginning of the season when I said if they were really, really bad, then they'd win 3 games. This was the third win, splitting with the Dolphins. Now the Dolphins are way better than I expected, but not with Tua. They're not that dangerous anymore. Does he remind you of Joe Flacco? He sounds like Joe Flacco to me. Kind of like game manager, can throw a deep ball once in a while. Maybe he hits it. That was Flacco last week. Chargers got a bad defense, and he couldn't get anything going.
No, Chargers have a good defense. They're just lazy, and they let everyone come back on them and play down to their competition.
Do they actually?
Chargers could have easily scored 45 points last week if they wanted to, and they just let up in the second half. I mean, they were crushing the Jets in the first half. It wasn't even competitive. They were winning. What was it, Phil? 24-6 after the first half.
Yeah, no, and Bosa's really good. Yeah, the Bosa kid's good on their defense. They let everybody back into the game in the fourth quarter, and they've lost more than half of them this season. I think their record in 1-score games is atrocious over last year and this year, like absolutely abysmal.
Well, they lost the last, well, not counting this week against Jets, but the 2 prior weeks they lost on the final play of the game.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But they were winning, and they let these teams come back. And then they lose. It's very much like Atlanta, and I have a hard time thinking the defense is good when they keep letting that happen.
So I don't know if it's lazy, but I feel like they just kind of let teams back into games. That's all.
Yeah. Well, you had another team you pegged before the show was a bad defense of the Ravens, who probably
something's going on with them. Yeah, I just we hear the name Ravens like, oh, good defense, and they had that stigma. But they're bleeding points right now. It's incredible. Pittsburgh is going to beat the crap out of them on Thursday night.
I agree. And if this Ravens team misses the playoffs and Lamar Jackson continues this huge step back, how much longer is Harbaugh going to be that coach? I mean, he's been there a long time. You think he could survive a little bump or so, but this is an off a cliff jump.
This is not a coaching problem. This is a league has figured out Lamar Jackson problem.
But Harbaugh's known as this great. He's known to be a good quarterbacks coach. He got a lot of credit for Jackson last season. He didn't teach him to adjust and stay in the pocket and throw the ball. So.
Well, that's the problem. That's teams are not letting him run the ball as much as they did last year. Because he had 1,200 yards rushing last year, something like that, something crazy. He's not even sniffing that this year.
This is so obvious to me. Like Daniel Jones was falling into the same trap where he wanted to run to make something happen. He's been good the last 3 games because he isn't. He's staying in the pocket unless it's completely there for him.
Well, no, I think a bunch of those runs lately have been designed runs because he's a mobile quarterback. Like it's not just 1 read, 2 read, 3 read. Oh shit, I got to run the ball. Those were designed plays for him. And
But I remember seeing him last season where he was like, "Oh crap, I got to run the ball after those 3 instead of throwing it away." And you got to learn to throw it away and not
agreed.
Run it. And
completely agreed.
Jackson had an incredible season doing that last year, so I'm not going to take that away from him. but you don't get away with it more than once in the NFL, and everybody knows it. It's rare. Nobody keeps that up unless you somehow mask it and hide it, and they haven't done a good job of that. So
The only quarterback to do that and morph and evolve is Russell Wilson, because he used to run a ton, and he still runs a bunch, but he's the one that I can think of that has evolved his game to keep the running portion of it, but not do it, on every instinct.
Yeah. He's got to win an MVP soon, right? I mean, he was well
on his way. Not this year.
Yeah, I mean, he was well on his way until these last 3 games. They have like 7 turnovers the last 3 games. It's something ridiculous.
Well, if they put together a great last month, maybe he gets it back or no?
You could resurrect it, but so who gets it now? As if the season ended today, who's the MVP?
I have no idea. I guess it'd have to be Ben Roethlisberger. Okay. Oh, I was going to say Roethlisberger because they're undefeated.
Right. I mean, even Mahomes isn't putting up lights out numbers. He's good. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. He's fun to watch, but it's not like he's on any historic pace at the moment. I don't think anybody is.
Derrick Henry?
Yeah.
Maybe this could be the year. It's a non-quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had 3 games this year of 200 yards rushing.
He's got to get his team to the playoffs because they're on the bubble. So yep. I think that would be a big turning point. They say it doesn't matter, but it definitely matters. So, it's interesting. Do you think Arizona makes it? I think we were all pretty optimistic about them before the year.
We talked about this earlier. I don't know. I mean, if we were to pick, and I don't speak for Phil, but I know what he leans. If we had to pick a team in the NFC right now to win, it would be the Rams.
Yeah,
the Rams just seem like the more complete team out of all the teams that are 7-3. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is the only reason why you talk about the Packers. Their defense is not very good. Seattle is too topsy-turvy. You don't know what team you're going to get week to week. Seattle not Seattle. The Cardinals could easily be 5-5 if they didn't have that Hail Mary pass. Is Drew Brees coming back? I don't know if Drew Brees is coming back, but teams are going to figure out Taysom Hill very quickly, and the Bucs don't. And the Bucs don't look that great. Tom Brady can't throw the ball downfield anymore, and when he does, he gets picked off. So, yeah. I mean, if it were me, I'd go with the Rams, right?
Yeah, well, they got probably the best defense, and you hit it with the balance. I was never punting on Jared Goff, and I mean, he hasn't lit anybody up, but he shouldn't. He doesn't need to, and he's playing good football. So I like what they're doing. I like they're winning close games, but they're winning against good teams. It's not like they've had an easy schedule or anything.
Does it bring you joy that the Tampa Bay losing streak we're in the midst of it? Does it bring you joy that Bruce Arians essentially calling out Brady for saying like he's not reading the defense or anything? I forget what he said exactly, but he's basically throwing him under the bus.
Tom Brady comes off like a cocky, what, when he's winning and has winning streaks. So this makes me a little happy. Now, I'm not going to say he's not going to have a prove-it game, make it to the playoffs, and have some put up some moments, but it makes me smile. They're struggling. I figured he would. He made it halfway through the season. He's an old man.
So I'm down in the basement working on my basement last night. So I had the game on the iPad, and I'm casually listening to it because I had nothing invested, no fantasy or anything. And I heard the name Antonio Brown a ton last night. He must. I don't know what his target share was, but I swear I heard his name.
He had
so
8
many
catches
times last night. What?
He had 8 catches last night.
All right, so you got to figure he probably had 12 targets. All right.
Who made that decision to bring him in? Because they already had Mike Evans.
Brady made that decision. I feel Brady made that. I think Brady vouched for him.
He blew up the whole locker room dynamic they had and all the positive mojo by bringing that guy in there.
I feel that the first couple of games they were force feeding him the ball. Now he probably knows the offense a little better, but again, I swear I heard his name like every other play. Antonio Brown to Antonio Brown to Antonio Brown. I don't know. Yeah, that's the vibe I was getting.
It's interesting because we were praising them for a good running game early in the year, but that's kind of fallen apart. Praising them for a good defense earlier in the year, that's kind of fallen apart. I expected Brady to fall apart because he's an old guy. He's going to have a down month or two. And maybe he has a great month later, but Drew Brees was doing it right until he got hurt. He was playing okay and then getting better. Brady was starting great and then tailing down. So,
is it me or are they on primetime football like every week the last month?
I don't.
He hasn't been very good at primetime football either.
No.
Well, apparently he goes to bed at 8 o'clock at night, so maybe that has something to do with it.
He looked tired last night. Did you see his eyes at the end of the game? He had rings under his eyes.
So Bruce Arians made them practice at like 9 o'clock at night on Saturday, I think it was.
To acclimate?
To get ready for the game, yeah. I don't know if that helped or hurt, but
You go to bed. I mean, I know I was like laughing because there's no way you can go to bed at 8 o'clock when you have kids. It's like you might as well go to bed with your children.
yeah, it's 11 o'clock Eastern right now, and I'm still up.
Yeah.
I'm not too far off from going to bed.
Well,
right. Do we think the Bucs hang in there? They'll make the playoffs. I mean, the competition's not steep.
Yeah. They're too good of a team to not even make a wild card. I think they'll make a wild card.
Yeah.
And if Drew Brees was still playing in Seattle, in New Orleans, I'd say that they have no chance of winning the division because I just think New Orleans is better. But Bud said it before, they are going to figure out Taysom Hill, and they're going to figure him out this fast, real fast. You can't just run the ball every single play. You can't take a direct snap and run the ball. I mean, I'm not a defensive coordinator, nor am I smart enough to be one, but I'm pretty sure I'd be like, all right, guys, make him throw the ball. Load the box up and make him throw the ball. Even if they're 10, 15-yard passes, he's not going to beat you deep.
Well, I'm not ready to write off the Panthers. I know that they've got a hill to climb. But maybe they'll just be playing spoiler if they can't actually get into the running. But
they've got the XFL MVP as their quarterback right now.
Yeah, C.J. Walker, is that or P.J.?
P.J. Walker.
P.J. Walker, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to have a little rant for a second. I picked him up in fantasy because I thought he might get the start. And then he wasn't going to get the start, and then they never announced that he got the start, so he's on my bench. Not that he did great, but they never told us that he got the start. He was just starting. They were projecting like a half a point, which made me think he wasn't starting. So it's okay. Bud, how are you doing in fantasy? Are you winning still?
I won by 1 point this week.
Oh. Hats off to you. I am 2-9.
I am hanging. So I got the victory. So it's funny that 4 weeks ago I mapped out everyone's schedules and who needs to win, obviously I need to win out. And it's incredible. The last 2 weeks, exactly what I needed to happen has happened. I still need 2 more weeks of it, but I still have a little breath.
Well, good luck to you. We have a penalty for the bottom 2 teams in our league, and I'm working my butt off to not get it again. I got it last season. It's just not happening for me. But I don't know if you're frozen or just in awe, but I got a bad team.
I think he's frozen.
Well, I did on that. Have a happy Thanksgiving, guys.